Oh, that is good. Okay. So, when we were packing up Sycamore 1, we had, like, a multi-pack of Snickers in it. And unfortunately for me, I needed all of the calories to build the chalet. But for one of those Snickers, which I completely lost track of, until yesterday when I found it more or less under the seat of the rover. Frozen solid as a brick, mind you, but fortunately a little bit of heating inside of my ASS, and it is... Oh, that is lovely. Okay. Right. On to the actually more serious things. So, first things first, the rover now has an actual hookup point here, which allows it to recharge here, which is always good for an electric vehicle, and also allows it to more easily convey materials from that mine, as well as any future mines, over into our production facility. Now, I have had a little word from the social media team, who have been apparently referring to this as essentially Antarctica's first makerspace. So, I kind of like that, but it might be copyrighted. I don't know if that's something we can actually officially call it. We don't really have a legal team on the new Millennia project, but hopefully they can figure that out. Also buried this line here, so it now actually goes pretty much under the snow entirely. It's not 100% smooth, but hey, there's only so much you can do with your foot. But it does go all the way over there, and it is very, very underground at points. And that means that we don't need to worry too much about this link getting ran over and whatnot. It's not so much a problem there. There we're more worried about air traffic, but here most of it is that most of this connection would go underground, so it's convenient. And there's our connector, and there's it's like a scene of Captain America or something. Just goes deep into the snow there. Took me like 2 nights, but nonetheless we got that going. And for those of you who were worried about symmetry, the facility here is now symmetrical. So we have... I rearranged how the assemblers themselves were actually linked up, so now they more or less have one line going that way in terms of connection to the conveyor system, and that gives me a little bit more space to add modules or like upgrading them down the road. And then we have a second one-way sorter that way, and then our actual like component storage here. It's gonna get pretty cramped in here once we actually start adding modules, but for right now, the whole thing is fine. And it is an utter godsend to have 12 different full-blown assemblers actually working on stuff, rather than just, like, the odd one basic assembler like we have over there. It is so fast, so nice. And I even managed to figure out cooperative mode, so we have, let's see, I think it's this one, is it this one? Assembler 1? Yeah. So Assembler 1 is the primary assembler. This is the one that basically gives out all of the orders to everybody else. And then the over 11 assemblers are child assemblers, which is to say that they, in a model of computing that somehow believes that children are going to follow orders, they, like, the main assembler delegates to all the other assemblers, and that means that the workload gets spread out a ton, and consequently things get done way faster than if we just had one assembler working on the whole thing. So it's lovely, and it gets things done. And today, we're doing the thing. We are building the welding apparatus that will hopefully allow us to make new structures and new, like, craft way easier without me having to hand weld everything. And that will then, I don't know that we'll, I highly doubt we'll have the time for that today, but nonetheless, and that will then be used to create an actual craft, not unlike the rover, although we're probably gonna try probably our hand at something a bit more airborne, because the rover's ground clearance isn't exactly stellar, suffice to say, and we've seen what happens when it gets put under a heavy load. So we probably want to try airborne a bit better for that, just to get, like, altitude so we can reach roofs and such, because we do need to put a roof over there before that whole thing freezes over. It is out of ice, but it has also completely stocked all of the tanks over there, which is lovely. Love having 2 giant hydrogen tanks full to the brim. I would say full to bursting, but that would be a much bigger problem that I don't want to deal with right now. But Okay, so in order to build a system that can actually construct stuff, we're going to need welders, and we're going to need to have those welders, because they only have a limited range, to be able to reach more or less this entire platform. Probably a bit further along, even. Like maybe another block out here, another module. And that gives us a couple of possibilities. The first, and the one that comes to mind, especially with Makerspace, is to have what's called a free-axis machine, which is a device that can be essentially moved along a track, so left, right, forward, back, and up, down. I think that might be a 6-axis. I don't recall exactly. And that basically means it can reach every point within a 3-dimensional space. And that is possible and is certainly accomplished by engineers far more accomplished than me, so we're probably not going to be doing that. We're going to be having a little bit more fun with this, and trying things out in a little bit more unusual a fashion. And that fashion is going to start with a piston, so that we can actually elevate up and down, and that gives us our first axis of control. Now, I think with the size of pistons, I'm probably going to want to put this quite a bit further underground than I currently can. Let's find out. Oh yeah, we want to go at least another, like, another section under. So that requires that I dig a little bit, but hey, it's ice, and Lord knows, ice is useful. And then, just on the side, we're going to want to actually have some conveyors in order to hook into there. So I actually need to make this, like, 2 deep at the very least. There we go. Okay, so that will give our piston actual conveyor access, which is very important for us here. And we just want to... There we go. Okay, that will give us actual control of this at the front. That's what we want. I am going to have to put the piston top together, but that won't take too long. Okay. And you just want some large steel tubes. I will just put those into production. And everything pops through, and all good. Oh, it's lovely. It is so good. Okay, next step. We're going to want rotation. So we're going to want an advanced rotor. And I think... I'm looking at the numbers on there to try and make sure I get this oriented the right way. That should be fine, I think. So we just repair that up. Well, pair, I guess, more specifically. And... Okay, everything back into production. And it all just flies out because there's 12 things currently working on crafting all of this. Oh, I love it. I love it so much. I'm going to be talking about loving it so much for quite a while. We're not even at the point yet where it's building stuff for me. I guess technically we are, but still. Okay, so this gives us a device that we can move up to about like 10 meters up and down, as well as rotate, which is a good start. But obviously most things that we're going to be building are going to be on this ground level. So the next thing that we need on top of this is a hinge. Nope, not a hinge, a hinge. Now we have these different ones, and I think these are just based on scaling. I don't think these are meant to be, like, used for the same thing, or maybe these are the internal parts. I don't know. They're in the database, I presume. Okay, that looks like a very small hinge. That's definitely not what we're after. Okay, so yes, it's somebody was in charge of naming these things and did not properly name them for the actual, like, context here. Okay, now unlike the rotor, this does not come with its numbers written on it, so I don't know offhand how this thing is actually rotated. But fortunately, if we build it, they will come. So just grab a little, grab a little. And then if we build this up real quick, we can actually just find out exactly which way it goes. Okay, that's a good start. Now, if we just quickly use the control panel for hinges. Okay. To my knowledge, we only have... Apparently we have 2 hinges around here, and I don't, for the life of me, know where the other one's gone. Let's have a look. So that's not there. Where? Oh, that's the hinge that's over there. That's holding on to the spotlight. Right, of course. Yeah, there's one over on the mine that just holds a spotlight, so we can actually keep an eye on everything inside of it. So that should mean this one is here, or presumably is here. If I hop over to here, we should be able to see it. No? Apparently not? Okay. Or that could just be because my antenna's off. No, my antenna's on. Okay, never mind. I have no longer any idea why we can't see it. But we want to set that hinge to move to a little bit. Join hood off. There we go. And velocity, let's say 1. See which way it goes. Okay, good. That is the correct orientation that we want. And we want to say that our lower limit is 0. So then we can do that. Reverse it. It'll just happily go back to 0. Very nice. Okay, good start. Good start. And then on top of this, we put an actual welder. So that gives us 10 meters vertical, and then a good, like, 180 degrees, I want to say, from this rotor. It should be available. And then also we can tilt. So that gives us another section of our actual reach. Very nice. That will still be quite limited, but give me a moment, and we'll get the first welder up on this, see how that looks, and then we can really start to make this look quite special. Okay, so I've just tasked the system here with generating a ton of steel plates, so we should see those show up inside of component storage, because the sorter over there is draining all. Yep, over 1,000. Very nice. In components 1. Very good. And that is the very first welder. And look, you can see it's already a pretty nice piece of kit right there. We've got some significant motion available inside of these arms. There's the pieces right there. Those are capable of picking stuff up as well as welding them, so it's pretty nice. And that is hooked up through the hinge, through the rotor, through the piston, to nothing, currently. But if we very quickly add just a couple pieces of conveyor, we should be able to get this actually hooked up. So let's just use those and those. So one there, and one of that. And then we can hook that to component storage directly, and from there we can actually get this thing able to source any components it needs directly from the component storage. And that's where things start to get really fun. So let's just fix them up. Nothing for you? Okay, good. Good for you, good for you. Okay, give him a hot second to realize. Yep, grand. Right. Now let's do a first test. We want to check our piston is able to, like, actually move stuff. Where's piston? Where's piston? There's piston. Okay. So current position of the piston is just 0 meters, but let's give it a little bit of velocity. Yep, nice. Okay. So that means we can go up and down quite happily. And then we want our rotor, which I presume to be this one. That's got to be from the mine itself. So if we tell it that its upper limit, well, its lower limit should be -90, which will be facing in that direction. Its upper limit should be 90, which will be facing in this direction. That's just to make sure that this never is in a position where it can slam into the manufacturing section of things. So we give that a rotation. Okay. It's speeding up quite a bit there. Good. And when it hits 90, what's it gonna do? Well, would that be negative? Yeah, that's fine. Stops right there. Good. And in the opposite direction should also be good. So it has a little bit of a speed up kind of period. It doesn't look like it's going to smash into the conveyor. That's also a good thing, or else I'd have to route that around the side. I will probably need to be careful as to how I, like, build up housing over here, but it shouldn't be too big of an issue. And just about there. Very nice. A little wibbly, but, you know, that's fine. It's something I made. Of course, it's going to be a bit wibbly. Okay. Let's just reverse that, get it back down to... or up, I guess, to 0. Either way is fine. And then we can test the hinge. Okay. Not quite 0, but close enough for our purposes here. So hinge, the one that's at 0, because that one's not even on this area. Okay. So we want to say that your current angle is 0? Is that the one I'm thinking of? I don't know anymore. Okay, easy way for us to find out is to just tell the system to disconnect from the hydrogen facility. So let's see, connector, manufacturing. Where's unlock? There is unlock. Okay. And that just means that that hinge is no longer our concern. Okay. I really should get like a control system over here, but we've only just built the thing, so it's fine. There we go. Okay. So we take that. We want to say, yeah, lower limit of 0. Upper limit of 90. Let's see how you do. Oh, this is wonderful. It's like baby's first, like, automotive factory machine. Okay. Again, a little wibbly, but it should be fine. It's trying. It's trying nicely. Okay, good, good, good. And here is the moment of truth. We're going to turn that welder on. And yeah, very nice. It's building up the area directly around it. Good. And you can see it does a way faster, way wider job than I do. I do have to be a little bit careful because that welder is active and it will hurt if I walk into it. So we'll just turn it off. But hey, we just had the first thing in New Millennia built entirely by machine. Entirely without me having to... Well, I guess I lifted a few fingers, but nonetheless. Like, not nearly as much as, like, picking up a welder and turning the welder on and going back and forth and all that. And that drew immediately from the component storage. It didn't have to worry at all about anything. Oh, it's gorgeous. I love it. But that is more or less the limit of its range, currently. Oh yeah, we're getting silly. Right, so... this I am presently calling the Weldicle, and you'll see why the second it begins moving. And it's not exactly the most stable of things, so I probably want to move this control seat out of the way. But you can basically see the same principle at work here. We are able to rotate using the rotor at the bottom there. So if I just turn the rotor lock off, it should be able to move again. Yeah, very good, very good. If I turn it the other way, also good. It's very heavy. It's a lot heavier than what it previously was turning, so it's a bit slower, which is fine for our current concerns. So just turn that back on. And then, of course, we have the piston, which is also able to move quite happily. Yep, very good. And we can, of course, use ourselves, the welders, quite happily. But, obviously, the big important thing that we're interested in is, the hinges. Which, if I tell them to move, they will start to move, and it will look quite interesting, suffice it to say. Doesn't all move at the same time, because there's a lot to go on here. but it is able, nonetheless, to give us pretty intense actual capacities here. I might rework this a teensy bit just so that it, like, I don't know, creates more of an arch, I guess might be the phrase. But that allows us to, more or less, go wherever we like with this. And if we want more fine control, we can, in fact, just reverse the hinges. I need to make sure I say the right word there. And just have this one at the start here, which is hinge 1, go to 90. And that will just create ourselves a flat beam that we can then basically rotate quite happily. So let's just go to hinge 1. We want to say that your upper limit is 90, and we are also going to reverse you so that you actually head towards that. So the other ones straighten out, and then only the one at the bottom actually moves, creating ourselves a nice flat plane. Now, this is still limited by the length, more or less, of the weldicle. It can't really go any further from the rotor and the piston than that. Yep, no, not, yep. You're fine, you're fine, you're fine. And then we are able to just sort of weld everything that comes into our path. It's really nice. I like it a lot. Just happily rotating, filling things out as they come within reach, essentially. And there is still a pretty big reach to this thing. Obviously, you don't really want to get caught in this. It will hurt. But we've just completed, in this small span of time, a lot more than I could have done in the exact same span of time. It's pretty nice. It's very nice. I might swap this away from being, like, individual instantive to just actually being, let's see, groups, welders, toggle on. So, yeah, they'll just handle themselves now if I turn this and then immediately get out the seat just in case, because I don't know how far away I can get injured by this thing. And yeah, that's, I think the most recent welder over there doesn't actually have anything, and we are out of steel plates, so let me just go to production, order a ton more of those, and also get that most recent welder into the group. So save, there you go. And I guess we want to tell that last welder it's on as well. Yep, there you are. So, with the speed of all of these assemblers, and the reach and power of all of these welders, we are now able to actually construct things more or less just sat at this seat. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Let's just have that rotor go back over. But as you can see, it doesn't quite get the whole thing yet. I would like to add probably at least one more, I think, just to make sure we can actually get the whole thing. But like, if we can cover at least the majority of this platform, then I think that's fine and golden. But yeah. So let me know what you guys think of New Millennia's brand new weldicle. It is a hilarious piece of technology, but I think we can do some really fun stuff with this. Now, I don't think I have the time today to actually go and set up our brand new welding craft of some description, but yeah, there we have it, the weldicle, and it's temperamental, but it works. And honestly, that's probably the most impressive part of this whole thing. Like, just wow. Yeah, let's just have you move back over there, shall we? Yes, very nice. Obviously, if I've got it in this configuration, I also need to make sure that I actually set the other. I need to make sure that I set a hinge 1 there back to the settings of the others, or else this will go quite strange. Suffice it to say, we can actually see what that looks like quite happily just by telling this to reverse. But we can get this into all manner of nooks and crannies, I think, of everything that we are building really happily. It's it's so fun. It's so fun. I love this thing already. Oh, just a beautiful weldicle. Yeah. Okay. Enough fanboying over my own creation here. Hope you've all enjoyed. As ever, this has been the latest report from New Millennia. Hope you've all enjoyed, and I'll catch you all as ever next time. Your eyes are getting heavy. Your mind is feeling clouded. The sound of my voice is relaxing you. You feel an urge to support this and other content I produce by going to patreon.com/lying, where you can pledge and receive fun rewards for your obedience. You will remember to support patreon.com/lying.